Headline number 5. Chris, this will get your blood pressure back down. Headline number 5 is that Sephora will now accept payment via employee devices in select U.S. stores. According to retail leaders, Sephora's beauty advisors within these stores will be able to accept contactless credit and debit cards, Apple Pay, and other NFC-enabled digital wallets available on smartphones and smartwatches anywhere in their stores using their iPhone and the point of sale app. Chris, what are your thoughts on this one? You gonna go on a rant for me?
No, good question. But no, and I know you've got some points here too that, as a more devout Sephora shopper than I can probably shed some light on this more than I can. But no, I mean, I love this one too, which makes, I think, 4 out of the 5 headlines that I love. Leave it to my favorite brand, The Gap, to bring you down. To keep me from 5 out of 5, which I think would be an all-time first on the show. But I love this, but I will express a caveat, Anne.
Okay.
Because mobile employee checkout experiences aren't just about checkout. That was a big epiphany I had in talking to somebody earlier this week and looking at this story. The real beauty in them, in leveraging them as a capability inside your retail operation, is that the mobile device is a selling tool throughout the shopping process. And therefore, it can make it easy when the time comes to pay, but you shouldn't think about it as solely as a device that checks people out. So by that, I mean, like, there's other things you can be doing with these devices, like logging what people are telling your sales associates, the products that they want, or updating their carts through the try-on process in apparel is another example. And then when it comes to time to check out, making it simple and easy. But while I think my other caveat too is, like, while I think it's going to work for Sephora, this isn't something that I would advise all fashion specialty retailers to start, following on and rushing into to follow what they're doing here, the approach they're doing here, even though they're a great omni-channel retailer, because you have to take an approach like I just described, because there's still other activities inside those operations like bagging, folding, tag removal that are going to come into play. So you have to think about how you're going to deploy a mobile checkout system or operation differently inside of those environments. So that's the one thing. But I love it for Sephora, particularly when you think about the sales assisted model that they have on the floor. Yeah. And then also through how they do their queue and their wrap to pay, which can be, very long at times as well.
Yeah. I mean, you got me thinking too, like even thinking about like the listening that could eventually happen on those devices for training for future, you know what I mean? Like there's so much information that you can be collecting, ordering things from, shipping from a different store. Like we've seen, work so well at places like Lululemon with the iPhones. Like there's so much opportunity here, but most of all, I think this to me says that Sephora as a retailer is truly listening to their customers in their desires to have an omni-channel, the definition of an omni-channel experience, which is checking out in all the ways and varieties that I want as a consumer and meeting my needs there. If I'm just going in for a refill trip, I know what, foundation I'm getting, but I need some help with that assistant. They bring me to the foundation and I can check out right then and there, plop it in my bag, and then walk out the store instead of waiting in the very, very long, which can get very long, winding Sephora line that they're known so well for. I think this is just really making sure that I can get the information that I need, I can check out without having to, to be searching through the store for somebody. Plus it also gives attribution, I think, to those cast members who are helping the beauty advisors, who are helping you in the store, instead of me trying to remember once I've been waiting in line for 20 minutes, who helped me on the floor, trying to find them throughout the store. Like, this is giving attribution, which I think will also help improve, stats and training for those sales associates too, so that they're getting recognition for the time that they're spending and the impact they're having on the store's bottom line. So I absolutely love this. The only question I have is like, what was the hurdle like to get the Sephora team over, what they're known so well for, this winding line with all the minis and sampling that, they're like one of the best impulse shopping examples that is out there. So like, how does this impact what's going on in that line? But I really don't think it's any risk to them. I think they're just going to see more revenue.
I'm sure it's something they're watching closely. The other point that I bring up too in closing here too, and this is not my kind of insight. It's something I learned from Mike Tattersall as I was prepping him for a grocery shop interview, believe it or not, but I think it's very germane to this conversation, which is he said he predicts a simplification of software and hardware that employees have to use in their day-to-day jobs in the stores. That there's going to be a consolidation effort around both those things, which is really interesting. And so you think of it as like, what is the all-in-one or all-encompassing PDA or personal data assistant that the store employees are going to use that works for every job? And what is the core software that enables them to do those jobs is also the next question, and what that looks like on those devices and what those interfaces look like too. But that's the path we're going down, because, you know, there's less employees, they're more expensive to get, and you need them to be as productive as possible.